All right, good morning, everybody, and good afternoon if you're in the East Coast. And thank you all for joining us for the second in our series on crowdfunding. 2 weeks ago, we held the Crowdfunding 101, and it was a really great webinar, and we want to, again, thank all of the folks who joined us for that. And we're back for round two. So my name is Julian Mosine McQueen. I am the Director of Education and Outreach at Green for All. I'll be helping to moderate today's conversation with our incredible panelists. Once again, we have a really, really great group of panelists today, and that will be sharing their experience with crowdfunding. So the last one that we did, Crowdfunding 101, we were joined by people who work for and work with various platforms that allow you to do crowdfunding. So we had 4 different platforms represented, and we heard from them what they see from their end as the folks that are helping to put these platforms out in the world and make sure that they, sort of work correctly and are useful for people, and get to learn a little bit about what what works from them, and how to really make these platforms work for you. So just a little bit of review. Unlike the OJs who are talking about the love of money, we learned and recognized that crowdfunding is really a tool to use to express your love for community and for the projects that you're passionate about. And that really came across, I think, from all of our presenters, that it really is a tool, and that what is at the basis of crowdfunding is that crowd. And when I say that, I mean it's your community, the people that are with you, that believe in you and the work that you do, and the people that are part of your community and believe that whatever your project is, they believe that it's something that can really serve the community. A couple of the figures that we learned last week to sort of support this is that 30 to 60%, generally 30 to 60% of funding comes from people that you know, so from your friends and family. And usually, especially that first 30% of the funds are really from people close to your network. We also learned that it's important when you're working on crowdfunding to have a team to support you, and that actually 80%, people raise 80% more when they have a team working to support their effort, and I think we'll hear more about that from Ashara when we get to hear from her in a little bit. And the last one I'll throw out is just videos and the importance of media in this sort of crowdfunding. When you're in this crowdfunding world, the ability to really use media for that. And so one of the figures that we heard was that people raise 114% more when they have a video associated with their crowdfunding effort. So that's just a little bit of what we covered last week. And I want to encourage folks that you can revisit that video. It's up on the website that you're on now. It's actually, we pulled it down so we could broadcast this, but it'll be back up later today. So if you didn't get a chance to join us for Crowdfunding 101, we have that webinar up. We have a video of it that you can reference and feel free to share. So this week, we're really excited to have just a stellar group of individuals joining us. And what we wanted to do, we recognized that it was really important to hear from some of the experts that are working for crowdfunding platforms, but that potentially even more impactful for people would be to hear from people that are like you, that are working in their community, working around issues that they're deeply passionate about, working to change their community and enlisting their community in that process and for those successes. And so we're joined today by a number of people who have had experience with crowdfunding, who have run campaigns, some of whom have met their goals, others who haven't, definitely recognizing that there's deep learning to be had through the process regardless of the outcome. So we're thrilled to be joined by members of the Green for All family and some of our friends. And so we'll go ahead and get into it. Yep. So today, helping us to moderate this this conversation, and who's going to really be helping us right now to sort of frame it and share some of his expertise, is William Michael Cunningham. William Michael, for 30 years, Mr. Cunningham has been studying small business finance and inventing new financial instruments. He holds a master's degree in both business and economics from the University of Chicago. He got his bachelor's from Howard University in Washington, D.C., a school that we work with through our College Ambassador Program. Shameless plug. Mr. Cunningham is CEO of Creative Investment Research, where since 1989 he has been a policy analyst and advisor providing investment research and management services. Today, with years of research and rare foresight, Mr. Cunningham has authored the Jobs Act, Crowdfunding for Small Businesses and Startups. It's America's leading reference on the burgeoning crowdfunding phenomenon, which he teaches in opportunity webinars and lectures around the country. Last year, in 2012, crowdfunding websites raised $2.7 billion, so this is real money we're talking about, and the projections are just through the roof moving forward. He is also leading an effort in partnership with one of our Green for All fellows, whose name is Naomi Davis. Naomi works in Chicago for an organization she started as the head of an organization she started called Blacks in Green. Part of what Blacks in Green is doing is starting a crowdfunding platform called Black Crowdfunding that we'll hear more about. So with no further ado, William Michael Cunningham.
Thanks a lot, Julian. I really appreciate it.
You're a little low.
You can hear me okay?
Little low.
Okay, I gotta actually lean into the microphone in order to bring the sound up. I'll also adjust my sound a little bit here. So crowdfunding is raising money for projects, products, and people using the internet, using internet networks. It works because banks don't. A cheap way to provide funding for efforts that are local, that are community-based, that have high social return, actually. Part of what's going on here is that people in communities are much better than large financial institutions in understanding how to generate returns for their community. A quick example would be the pedestrian bridge that was financed by crowdfunding in the Netherlands. There have been several other projects that have been financed by people in community, and the internet allows you provides a platform, a technology that you can use to do that. And this is new. We have not seen this before, so it's a very exciting time. It's a way to have the market meet human needs in specific communities. So that's what this call is all about, and I'm pleased to be a part of it. As you mentioned, we have, and I run a website called blackcrowdfunding.net, blackcrowdfunding.net. We're working in partnership with Naomi Davis at BIG and with a number of community groups around the country to bring people online and bring people to the crowdfunding revolution, if you will. So please feel free to check out the website, post a campaign or two, and also donate. See, what's going on here is, according to economic theory, if money circulates 5 times or more in its local area of origin, it basically creates a small economic boom. So that's what we're seeing. That's what the true potential of crowdfunding is, that allows you to create enhance economic activity in a number of communities. So we're very excited by that. Now, in terms of the conversation today, we'll talk to a number of people who have raised significant dollar amounts, in one case over $1,000 and growing, using these crowdfunding tools for specific community projects. Now, as Julian mentioned, the key to crowdfunding is the crowd. And you have to bring the beginnings of the crowd with you to a crowdfunding campaign. Now, there's some exceptions to that rule, but in general, that's the rule. So strangers are not going to fund you unless your friends fund you. The way to think of it is, I'm not going to give you $5 for something unless your mother gives you $5 for something. So, and if she won't, I won't, So you have to bring the beginnings of your network to the crowdfunding campaign and to the crowdfunding effort. And those that have done so, and done so specifically, have been remarkably successful. So that's the first lesson to learn. The second lesson to learn is, again, as Julian mentioned, social media tools are particularly important. That's the tool we're going to use to reach out to your network. So Twitter, Facebook. I'm on Twitter, by the way, as Black Crowd Fund, at Black Crowd Fund, and I'm live tweeting about this session, as a matter of fact. So you want good familiarity with these tools. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. There are a number of other tools that we use. One is called Hootsuite, Hootsuite. It's a tool that allows you to manage multiple social media accounts and do so and efficiently. And then Crowd Booster, Hootsuite and Crowd Booster. Crowd Booster is a tool that does pretty much the same thing. It allows you to manage your social media accounts for maximum impact. So these are tools that you need to be familiar with. What I found is that a lot of people are just now coming on to social media. So you want to spend time understanding those tools prior to engaging in a crowd campaign. The other thing that's important is the team and the group of people that you bring with you. Now, I have a little bit of a different philosophy around this. Because there's so much talent in communities of color, certainly specifically the African American community, a team might not always be available to you. So that's okay. Start far. You have to see who you are and what you have. And the team sounds a little like a field of dreams, but the team certainly will come as your idea gains traction, as you generate buzz, and as the social return of your specific crowdfunding campaign project is validated and authenticated. And speaking of those 2 points, let me mention why social media is important and how social media works within the context of a crowd. 2 things that are going on. Authentication. I need to know that you're a real live human being, and I'm going to do that by looking at your Facebook page and LinkedIn and tweets. And validation. I need to know that what you're trying to raise money for actually has a chance of succeeding and has a high social return. So this is what social media brings to a crowdfunding campaign: authentication and validation. So those are 2 key tools that you can use. Now, one of the reasons why we're so optimistic at blackcrowdfunding.net about potential in this marketplace for the African American community is because we believe that there is a great deal of talent, good ideas, good products, good projects in the African American community that have been ignored by large financial institutions. And what crowdfunding allows you to do is to ignore those institutions, to validate your concepts initially without having to go to a larger financial institution for validation and authentication, because chances are they are not going to understand. They're not going to be able to correctly evaluate you as a person of color or as a woman, or they're not going to be able to accurately evaluate the returns that you get in your project. So those are some of the key points. As Julian mentioned, this is the book. I want to make sure you can see it here. Jobs Act, Crowdfunding for Small Businesses and Startups. It is on Amazon. I will tweet out that link at Black Crowdfund, my Twitter handle. I'll also include some links to some of the articles that I've published on the Washington Post and other media where I've talked about crowdfunding. So, again, I'm excited. This is an exciting time. This is the tool that we need in order to generate the type of economic activity and social activity in our communities that has been lacking. It's out there for you right next list. It doesn't cost you anything to post a crowdfunding campaign. Will that be the case in 5 years? Probably not. So now is the time to take advantage of these tools. The other thing I'll say, and I'll say this in closing, I know a lot of people are waiting and they're concerned about making sure that they have the right project. I would say don't worry about it. I would say that the important thing to do right now is to get started. It's to understand this understand these platforms, work on getting your social media tools together, and to just gain experience. It's costless to post a crowdfunding campaign, but you can get a deal of expertise and understanding simply by trying. Now, I understand I've been breaking up a little bit, so if people have questions, hitting.net or Black Crowd Fund, the Twitter handle, and I'm happy to address any questions, comments, or concerns. With that, let me turn it back over to Julian. Thank you, Julian.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you so much, William. Really great information. Just to let folks know, we will put the link to the book on the same website that you're looking at now. So later this afternoon, folks can check that out. Black Crowd Fund is the Twitter. And thank you so much for that. One quick question for you, William. Oops, never mind. We'll come back to him with the question.
Turn the video off.
No,
Okay.
no, I'm still here. I'm still here. If you've got
great. One clarifying question is blackcrowdfunding.net solely for projects that are either owned or targeted for Black audiences.
No. It's a way to think about it as a Chinese restaurant. You know, you don't have to be Chinese to eat at a Chinese restaurant, but you know that when you're going to go into the restaurant, you're going to get food with a particular flavor. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of African American projects because the needs are so great and the talent is so high in that community. But anybody can post. Anybody can post any kind of project on blackcrowdfunding.net. But again, like a Chinese restaurant, you know the flavor that you're going to get. Is that helpful?
That's very helpful. Thank you so much for clarifying. And on a related note, just with the questions, this is just information for those watching us. We're accepting questions throughout the broadcast. Due to technological limitations, we can't have like a live chat going with people, but we are taking questions in real time. There's two ways to submit your question. The first is through Twitter with using the hashtag, right? Yeah, using the hashtag, sorry, I had it written down wrong. Using the hashtag GFA Crowd Fund. So that's hashtag GFA Crowd Fund. We're monitoring Twitter and taking questions through there. Or if you don't have Twitter, you can email us at business@greenforall.org. So again, and I'll repeat this information again, but hashtag GFA Crowd Fund, or you can email us at business@greenforall.org. We've already got some really, really great questions, and we'll be getting to as many of those as we can. And I should have made it clear. So we're going to hear from our panelists, compile questions throughout the broadcast, and then about the last 15 to 20 minutes, we'll be going through those questions. You can direct questions at individual panelists or at folks as a whole, and we'll get to those as best we can. So thank you so much. All right, so up next, I'm thrilled to be joined by a friend of mine and a member of the Green for All Fellowship. Her name is Ashara Akundayo, and she is an Oakland-based cultural worker of the urban landscape and has served as a catalyst, curator, educator, and producer for more than 20 years. In 2009, she was selected by the Ashoka Foundation and the City of Denver in the U.S. Launch of the Change Your City campaign as a social innovator. So she was doing that work, stimulating the green economy, being manifested through a local programmatic work in food justice and green jobs design. She's also had a fellowship position with the U.S. Department of State, the U.S. Department of State Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs. And as I mentioned, she's also a Green for All Fellow. She's currently working as a founding member of the Hub Oakland effort that we're going to be hearing about today. They're going to be opening this fall, and I am thrilled to announce that they just yesterday, I believe, what was it, night before last maybe,
Yeah.
they achieved their goal of raising $100,000 to build out and open Hub Oakland right here in Oakland, California. Just a huge undertaking on their part and a huge success. So we're really happy. And the good news is that if they hadn't reached it yet, because the campaign doesn't actually end until tomorrow. So I imagine if they hadn't reached it, she might have blown us off for this for this webinar. So I'm really glad they reached it, and I'm thrilled to introduce Ashara. Just mentioning her Twitter is @BlueBlackWoman, BlueBlackWomyn @BlueBlackWoman. So you can tweet it up with her. And Ashara, welcome.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Julian? What's up, everybody? This is super fun. This is the first time I've ever done a webinar, so I'm a little intimidated. As much as I love technology, I don't know how to work it all really well. But yeah, I'm one of the founders, or 8 of us, of Hub Oakland, and it's an amazing endeavor. Hub Oakland it's a collaboratory for innovation. So if there was a place where all of the people who are thinking about entrepreneurial endeavors, whether that be social or professional or whatever it be, that we would have a container for that space. So in talking about what we were thinking here in Oakland, and I'm actually in my home in Deep East Oakland, I want to show you a video, or a little piece of a video. So I'm going to attempt to get that on the screen for you. As Julian mentioned, I've had a couple of internships and fellowships. So the one with Green for All has actually really been amazing and really served to catalyze a lot of the work that I've been able to do nationally. And Hub Oakland is a place where I actually get to bring all of the things that I love to fruition. So it's been getting an MBA kind of like on the spot, because that's not what my graduate work was in, but it's a really wonderful city, and I really have enjoyed living here for the last 3 years. So let me try to show you something.
Oakland is going through an amazing renaissance. It has a vibrant art scene, and it's becoming a cultural mecca. Alongside all of this creativity, there's a growing population of changemakers who hold the vision that another world is possible.
And Oakland has its challenges. Hub Oakland has a huge opportunity to have a positive impact in the city and to bring innovative thinking to our most pressing problems.
That's why we've been looking for months to find the perfect space to bring Hub to Oakland. And guess what?
We found it!
Imagine this space filled with inspired people bringing their projects and dreams to life. Hub Oakland is a place to collaborate, connect, and grow, with shared workspace, conference rooms, event venues, an art gallery, and space for yoga and meditation. We have programs that accelerate ideas, covering everything from entrepreneurial skills to whole person development.
So why are we doing this? Because this is what makes us come alive. We love helping people bring their gifts to the world. But it's not just about us, and it's not just about Hub Oakland. This is about an entire movement of us helping each other bring our gifts to the world. And this is what is happening every time we back each other's projects.
So that's what's up. That's what Hub Oakland is. And just in looking at best practices, as we are alive still and still have hours to go on our campaign, I think 34 hours to go on our campaign, we asked one question, a question that we thought would resonate with everyone, and that is, what makes you come alive? And how is it that we are able to offer something in community where we're able to back each other's dreams and get the work done? So we did a lot of research around that. And I have to say that of all of the tactics that we used, it was all about the personal emails. We, as William mentioned, knowing the social media platforms, knowing how they work, Facebook was absolutely the most valuable one for us. We thought that it would be equal with Twitter, but it wasn't. It was very much about being able to look at the friends, the people that you interact with on a regular basis, and be able to say to them, will you be a champion for us? Will you back us by supporting us through your social media network? And honestly, the best thing that we could have done, as tricky and crazy as it's been for our team, was that we hired a campaign manager. We actually paid someone to actually help craft a process for us and to push us. And that person, whose name is Micah Daigle, and his really amazing company, collective agency, he came with his crew. He came with his team. So there's a team of 8 of us, a very diverse group of people. You saw in the video that we are 8. We are multicultural, multiracial, multidimensional. We come from all sectors in the community. And even another Green for All Fellows, Zakiya Harris, is also part of our team. So I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of different people doing a lot of different things. And so we have over 1,000 backers, and we have over $111,000. And because we reached our goal, we were able to say, you know what, now we can do something else that we really want to do, which is now we get to fundraise for art. So I've been a cultural worker all of my life. My professional and personal work is about arts activism, or artivism, as we call it. And so now, in addition to raising this $100,000 for the actual build out of the space, because right now we're located in downtown Oakland at a pop-up, what we call pop-up temporary space. We're building and retrofitting a space that used to be a car dealership. So taking what is already there and making it into the dream that we want to have in our community. The space that we're in right now, the pop-up, is an old failed bank. And so there's a lot of opportunity in downtown Oakland and across the Bay Area to do this work. One of the other things that I say I would mention that we utilized community events. We produced and collaborated with and partnered with organizations that were doing community events to leverage our audience and to get in front of as many audience members as possible. From an event we did last night with Rock United to talk about restaurant workers' rights and $2.13 an hour and foodie culture, because I consider myself a foodie and a food blogger. So there's just a lot going on with that. I want to encourage you all to check out our campaign. The website is comealivewith.us. It's at the bottom of the screen right under my name. You can watch the whole video and you can find out a little bit more about Oakland and about what our perks look like, because we had to pull in some favors. So we have Paul Hawken, who's doing lunches. We have Van Jones, who's the founder of Green for All, who's also doing a dinner with us. So those are just some of the things that worked really well for us. But it was all about our social networks in the sense of the personal email and asking our mothers and our best friends to like send an email for us. So thanks.
All right. Thank you, Ashara, and congratulations again.
Yeah,
on the incredible effort. And, you know, I'm really excited because that really is, I know, you know, a number of the people involved in that, and it's just going to be such an incredible resource for the community of Oakland and the Bay Area at large, I think. And who knows what will come out of the collaborations that will take place at that collaboratory, which is a new word that Ashara invented. And it's
I didn't invent it. You know what? I heard it from Greg Berry at Hub Boulder. The
Hub community is inventing.
The Hub community is global. There are over 50 hubs around the world. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Well, and it seems like just a very fitting project to use that crowdfunding model, because it is a place for collaboration, it's a place for community to come together. So again, it's comealive.us if you'd like to.
Comealivewith.us.
Sorry, comealivewith.us. My apologies. Don't want to send people to the wrong place. And you can see what they're doing, and you can give if you feel so moved. All right, so thank you, Ashara. One more time, again, still taking questions. If you have questions, you can send them to #GFA crowdfund, or you can email them to business@greenforall.org. We had one question around the tools that William mentioned for social media around the last one, and one of them was Hootsuite, HOOTSUITE. And the other one, I think, was Crowdbuster or Crowd. Crowdbuster, I think.
So thank you, Ashara. I wanted no, hold on. Let me jump in.
Yep.
So So that was Crowd Booster. Crowd Booster.
Booster. Cool. Crowd Booster. B-O-O-S-T-E-R. Great. Thank you so much. So, continuing on, we are now thrilled to be joined by a really great friend of Green for All's, also a member of the Green for All Fellowship. He's been working with us and doing incredible work in his community for a long time. A real entrepreneur, a real innovator, someone that we're thrilled to have here. He's doing a really exciting campaign project, more than a campaign now, that we'll get to hear about. So Eric Mathis has been at the forefront of initiatives to bridge the gap between the fossil fuel and renewable energies industry. I'm going to wait for that siren. My apologies. Downtown Oakland. He's been at the forefront of initiatives to bring the gap between the fossil fuel and renewable energy industries through development and implementation of innovative finance and business models. As an active member of the community, he is helping to develop a comprehensive project entitled Sustainable Williamson, which is in Williamson, West Virginia. It emphasizes health and wellness as a key component for economic revitalization. Using Sustainable Williamson as a template, his most recent endeavor is participating in the creation and implementation of the Central Appalachian Sustainable Economics Network, which is an interactive regional network of innovators cultivating new ideas and resources in Central Appalachia to grow healthy communities. So, I am thrilled to introduce to you Eric Mathis, and Eric Mathis just finished up a campaign that we'll hear about. They did not reach their goal, so we'll get to hear some of the, and apologies for that, Eric. But I know that the project continues on, and so I'm excited to hear about some of what that looks like, and also just what you learned through the process of your crowdfunding effort, because it was an innovative one, I will say that.
Thank you so much, Joanne. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Shar, that was a great presentation, as well as William. Thanks so much. Definitely feel privileged following two leaders in the crowdfunding sector across the nation. I'm just going to start off with a brief synopsis of what we're doing here in Williamson, West Virginia, which is in the heart of the billion-dollar coal field in Central Appalachia. Literally, when you're driving into Williamson, there's a sign that says the heart of the billion-dollar coal field. And then from there, kind of break down our campaign and kind of highlight the way it functioned to hopefully raise money for our Smart Office project, which is very similar to the community space that was mentioned earlier in Oakland, and then how that community space kind of relates to our overall comprehensive model for both Williamson as well as the Central Appalachian region in general. And then specifically link that back into one of the more important and innovative components that Ashara pointed out earlier is the events component, and including other surrounding communities as an innovative component that a lot of traditional crowdfunding, at least from my experience and my research, hasn't really focused on. It's been typically focused on individuals and not necessarily aggregating those individuals in a community format. So just to back up a little bit, is we tried to build, as the problems here and the solutions in Central Appalachia are fairly complex, that complexity was reflected within our crowdfunding campaign, and perhaps oversaturated to where a lot of people that we're getting feedback from now weren't really able to navigate on what were we actually funding and whatnot. So in collaboration with the USDA, Appalachian Regional Commission, which is a regional federal body, and US EPA, we developed a design charrette that included a lot of local community leaders and stakeholders that came together for 2 days and developed a comprehensive plan for sustainability that included 6 components of sustainability that I'll mention here in a little bit. And along with that, there were specific steps that were outlined that were suggested for Sustainable Williamson as well as the region as a whole to begin initiating that sustainability plan. And outlined in that report was initiating the crowdfunding campaign. That's later on what we developed and launched March 1st. So a part of our that interagency report with the intention of our crowdfunding campaign was to raise money for Smart Office, which is basically a green office or platinum certified LEED building in the heart of coal country, one of the first of its kind in the region, as well as what they call a Living Building Challenge, which is leadership in energy and environmental design on steroids. So this office that is located right next to the coal house in downtown Williamson, which is a house made out of pretty much 100% coal, was going to be the location for Sustainable Williamson, as well as workforce development and a lot of other linkages to 6 components of sustainability. So that was our primary video highlighting what the crowdfunding campaign was for, and the interagency report functioned ideally if we had raised additional contributions past our $300,000 goal. Would go into expanding projects here in Williamson as well as throughout the region. After launching it on March 1st, we had initiated the following week and each additional week after that for 6 weeks a specific video that highlighted each one of the components of sustainability that we'd identified in the original interagency report, which highlighted healthy communities, food systems, sustainable tourism, integrated education, sustainable construction, and the final one, which was energy optimization. And then after that, we had an additional 2 weeks that was around our tour component. We also did utilize a campaign manager that basically developed all the videos, as well as linked in all of our social media, such as Facebook, LinkedIn, the other ones that were mentioned earlier, in a concise way as they synced up with each one of the videos that we had launched. So take, for instance, we launched our Healthy Communities. 2 days after that, we would launch our program description, basically defining what the Healthy Communities was, and then a media blast beyond that, as well as social media. The final component, I wanted to share a video in closing that the last 2 weeks of our campaign, what we were trying to do is spark community events across the country, such as in Portland, Oregon, Oakland, California, Boston, Boone, North Carolina, and Pittsburgh. We were not successful in getting a lot of those events off the ground, but we were successful in getting events off the ground in Washington, D.C., Boone, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, and Boston. So the last 2 weeks, we engaged in a tour and going up to D.C. to where I participated on a panel discussion at Good Jobs, Green Jobs conference, as well as had a community event with the intention as the community event of spreading awareness of the campaign and inspiring local participants to go out into the community and engage with other folks in order to raise money in an aggregate fashion for DC. And what the intentions behind that wasn't successful is we wanted to get communities across the nation kind of competing against each other for specific perks. Take, for instance, one of the top perks with that, and I believe my time is running out. One of the top perks with that was our team here in Williamson would go to Boston if they had the highest contributions, and we would present the elected official with the specific award, as well as a 2-day design trip around one of their sustainable communities projects.
So you may be asking, what is the National Community Competition? As a part of our Indiegogo campaign, our team is launching a national movement around what we are calling collaborative competition. Through this lens, we hope to encourage cities across the nation to join together and compete for supporting a region that has and is still giving our nation so much. Now is the time to salute our heroes and the communities that support them. So, we invite you and your community to get on the bandwagon with us and start competing to receive top collaborative awards. Here's how to start. First, visit our Indiegogo site to learn more about our campaign and the work we are doing in coal country, and learn how you can support, collaborate, and contribute. Our funding goal on Indiegogo is $300,000, and the campaign ends on April 30th. Second, download the Community Action Kit on our website and check out the collaborative awards you could receive. Third, host and organize an event in your community and use it as a springboard for building local support and awareness for getting more folks in your community to contribute. Fourth, remember our campaign ends April 30th, so get started soon. Fifth, please be sure to include your location when contributing on Indiegogo. This is how we will keep track of your community's total contribution. Sixth, if organizing an event doesn't interest you, consider starting a lunch walk program in your community and get walking. So, please join us, support our campaign, take part in a national community competition, take action by starting a lunch walk program in your community, and help us create economic diversification in the heart of the billion-dollar coal field by contributing a donation today to our campaign.
Yes.
Okay, so what I was saying is that Sustainable Williamson is doing really incredible work in their community, really looking at this model of community and economic development through health and wellness. It's really, really powerful. So please visit sustainablewilliamson.org. And before, one more time, I'll let folks know if you have questions. We're still accepting questions. We've got a lot of great questions for a number of our panelists. And we're accepting questions at hashtag GFA Crowdfund, and that's hashtag GFA Crowdfund on Twitter, and we're accepting them via email at business@greenforall.org. So please continue to send those, and we'll have some time to get to those at the end. So finally, we wanted to just have a real variety of people presenting today in terms of the types of projects they were doing, as well as the amounts of money they were going for. And sort of how they approached it. And so I'm really thrilled to present our last person. Zoe Toby is also a friend of mine, somebody who's doing great work who I've met a long time ago at a storytelling workshop in DC, and we just had a blast together. Now he's here in the Bay Area. He's the rare combination of songwriter, coach, and social movement organizer, wearing lots of hats. He offers socially conscious rock music and life and leadership coaching to inspire, empower, and refuel change makers. Inspired by a reverence for life, a hunger for justice, and a belief in human potential, Zoe has logged over 100 live performances as a songwriter, empowered thousands of young leaders as a former organizer with the CR Student Coalition, and as the former co-director of Generation Waking Up, and he supported over 100 change makers as a professional life and leadership coach. So Zoe is joining us. He held a crowdfunding effort that I let him share more about that was around supporting his music that is really music that's fantastic and written and created with the movement in mind and really created to be a tool and something that people can use and listen to and be inspired by and use to inspire others. So Zoe, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Julian, for putting this all together, and thank you, everybody, for taking the time to listen in and see what you can learn. And I'm guessing you're here because there's something exciting that you're either gearing up to raise some money for or already are in the process of. So what a thrill and an honor to join this panel and be a part of your journey. So just to share in brief about my story, I set out last fall to raise $18,000 for my first professionally produced album called Blessed Unrest, Soundtrack for Social Change. Ended up raising $20,000, much to my surprise. Used Indiegogo, which totally love, and those people who work there are just the best, truly. And you know, we were as we were preparing for this webinar, we were looking at what was the biggest worry during our fundraising effort, and my biggest worry was that people I love would be disgusted by me asking them for money. And I say that just to bring some lightness to you know, the stuff that the mind chatters at us about when we're going for something that's really important to us. So I think what I want to share, I'm really excited for everybody's questions, so I'll try to just share the key points. For me, there's 4 principles of successful crowdfunding and really successful doing anything successfully. And I'm going to share a one-pager after this, so you don't have to scramble to take notes or anything. But the definition that I use for true success is doing what you said you would do consistently with clarity, focus, ease, and grace. And those 4 principles, therefore, I think, are the things that we each need to master in order to be successful with crowdfunding. So by clarity, I just mean seeing what's important to you, seeing what's most important, what matters most. Like Ashara was saying, what makes you come alive, and just being so in touch with that. Focus means putting your attention and energy where it will do the most good. You know, both strategically in terms of the tactics that you choose, the actions that you take each day, but also where you put your energy, your attention. Are you thinking about your worries and doubts and fears, or are you thinking about what's possible on the other side of this fundraising campaign? Ease, the third principle, ease just means taking action without struggling. You can work hard, but you know, what would it be like to just take the next right step and actually savor it? No matter how many steps are ahead or what your chattering mind is telling you about how it's all going to go wrong. And finally, the most important principle, I think, for crowdfunding especially is grace. And grace, the definition of grace is that it's an unearned privilege. So the gateway to, or an unearned blessing. And so the gateway to grace is being grateful for what's in front of you. And I think there's no greater thing that we can do to bring money towards us for the things that matter most to us than to demonstrate gratitude and thankfulness. The 6 steps that I'll just outline, and then we'll we'll talk more. Step 1 is to align yourself. Get in touch with your vision. Really name what's the intention that's fueling your project, and set a goal. Declare a goal. How much money are you going to raise by what exact date? Until you set the goal, the game is not on. And once you set the goal, get ready to rock and roll. So step one is to align yourself. Step two, prepare to receive. So set up all the channels you need to request and receive funds, setting up your Indiegogo page or your Kickstarter page, but also the communication channels you're going to need, your Facebook page or event, your email templates that you're going to use, your Twitter account, getting all those things in line. Making a system for tracking prospective funders is totally key to focusing your energy. Whether it's just written down on paper or a spreadsheet or something else, just make sure you have some kind of system so you know who you've asked, who you haven't. And finally, scheduling fundraising time into your calendar is a key step for preparing to receive. In the couple minutes I've got left right now, I think what I most want to say is the biggest myth, I think, that holds people back, holds all of us back in when we set out to crowdfund, is that we're going to be a burden to people. We're going to, somehow offend them by asking for their support. And if you leave with one thing from what I have to say, at least today, it's what I want you to leave with is to see that who people are is that they inherently want to contribute. They want to support. It's aligned with who they really are in their hearts. It's aligned with their deepest values and their highest aspirations. So when you ask people for money for something important to you and them, what you're really doing is giving them a chance to participate in a vision that both of you really hold dear, and a chance for them to align their actions with who they really are in their heart. So with that, I'm excited to hear everybody's questions and be of support every way that we can. So back to you, Julian.
All right. Can you guys hear me? All right. I don't know why my microphone stopped working. Zoe, thank you so much. Tremendous information. So as Zoe mentioned, he's going to provide a one-pager with some of that info, and we'll make sure to send that out to everybody who RSVP'd for this call. So when we send out an email that will have the video of this webinar, we'll also send that. So with the time that we have left, we're going to get into some questions. Zoe, this first one I'm actually just, it's going to be for you because I think you might have some insight. So one of the questions that we have, there's actually a couple related, but just what are some of the techniques that you can use to re-spark interest in crowdfunding campaign? Oftentimes we see that after the first couple of weeks, interest engagement starts to drop off. What can be done to recharge campaigns? Any thought you have there? And then if anybody else wants to chime in with that, feel free.
Yeah, thanks for that question. I think one key is having a clear deadline and enrolling people in the vision of what's going to be different about, not just the world, but what's in it for them, that if this campaign is successful, that's, something's going to change. And so you're telling a story each step of the way, and it's the story of the project you're working on. It's a story about the campaign itself. And so you want to enroll people in actually seeing themselves as being a part of the team that has the privilege of bringing this project into being. So the more you can front load asking people not just for money, but to be a part of your support team, whether it's moral encouragement, connecting you with other people, every opportunity you give people to be a participant in the campaign, that's the more they're going to maintain interest. And there is going to be a point where interest wanes, and that's the point where having a team is going to help you bring it back up to say, oh my gosh, guys, we have a week and a half left. We've got this much more to raise. This is so exciting. Let's pick a day and, just email everybody we know, get on the phones, call people we know, post on Facebook, whatever it might be, to bring the interest back around.
Great.
I have something that we did also as well, because you do hit that plateau, after the first 10 days or so. And what we did was kind of a multimedia updates, you know, the updates that you do on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and that we actually had the founders do videos on why we're founders and what we love about our project. We did a contest and asked our champions to put up videos on what they think about the project, what they think about Hub Oakland, what they want to see, and how they come alive. So the updates, that was paramount to like getting people jazzed and excited again. And we saved some perks. We didn't put them all up on the front end. We put them up as they went. It's like the Van Jones dinner, that wasn't up until over the weekend. You know, Paul Hawken, that was kind of in the beginning, but we saved some. We still have something that we're going to put up today. So those were the two things, yeah.
Yeah, this is Bill. That's a key strategy because you should factor that in. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
You should factor that in when you're strategizing about your crowdfunding campaign. Hold some of the perks back in anticipation of a fall off in interest. That's exactly right. The other thing to note is that the best perks are, you know, free for you or relatively free for you, but they speak to the intentionality, they speak to the spirit of what you're trying to do. So hold some of those back to re-energize the campaign.
Great. Cool.
And throw a party and tell them that you're going to throw a party and invite them to it.
That was part of why I wanted to give, because I am ready for the party. And I get to go. So I'm going to ask...
You get to go because you're a backer. Thank you, Julie.
The next questions are going to be directed at you, Ashar. One's really short, and then I have a couple for you, William. And then we'll see where we're at with time. Hopefully I've got one here for Eric as well. I want to try to get in there. So the name of the hub consultant that you guys used?
His name is Micah Daigle. And his agency is called Collective Agency. So let me dig around and make sure that that's his website. But yeah, it's
okay, we'll put that in the
collective-agency.us. Even.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then quick question. This is from Celia. She said she was excited to see you on here, and she said she's crowdfunding for a woman-centric project. Wanted to know if you had any thoughts, suggestions, or expected limitations that she should be thinking about as she endeavors there.
Or you said a women's organization?
Yeah, a woman-centric project is how she said it.
Woman-centric project. Well, those are the projects that are dear to my heart. I think it's really about the team. You know, I don't know what the project is, but for sure, if you can make sure that you have people on your team who are working towards your goal that come from different sections in community, you know, because we all have a mama, and if you can find the message that we're all connected together, that what's in us, what we have in it is that we're all in this together, that my destiny is actually connected to your destiny. We all can relate somehow to a woman who nurtured us and cared for us. So it would be about the team for me. That's definitely what it was for us. And, you know, collectiveagency.us is the website. And Micah was just really able to coalesce his team to interact with our team.
Great. Cool. All right. Thank you. So this is for William. A couple just technical questions. One is tax implications. Is it a gift? Is the money considered a sale if the goods are exchanged? Any quick thoughts you have there? The other one is reporting. Do you know any insights on the reporting that you have to do after you've reached your goal in terms of outcomes, money, how the money was used, and who was served, and that kind of thing?
Well, what we've seen so far, the answer is it depends. The other answer is nobody knows. But what we've seen so far is we've seen certain nonprofit entities that have made it very clear that donations to their crowdfunding campaign are in fact tax exempt. But that's something that you need to make clear at the start of the campaign, unless you're raising money to create a 501c3. The idea is that if you have that current status in your crowdfunding campaign.
Uh-oh, you got quiet.
Now, okay. Use your status as a 501c3 and establish that up front in the strategy that you put together for your crowdfunding campaign. on the receiving end, you should anticipate that all funds are going to be taxed that you receive are going to be taxed at an individual tax rate. In other words, you are going to have to report them, and it's going to be easy, remember, for the IRS to track your that money, because they're watching your crowdfunding campaign too. So at this point, I wouldn't be super concerned with the tax implications unless you get above $100,000, $250,000, $1 million. Then sure, you want to start to think about setting aside funds in a separate account so that you can meet any tax liability that you might have on a personal, individual basis. Is that clear?
Sorry, I muted myself. Yes, thank you for that. I think very clear. A couple things that we just got in. Eric, this one I want to provide you two. One I think is really important. Just your top 2 or 3 key lessons learned from your experience. So that's one question. The other question is, and I'm asking you this because I feel like yours was a little bit of a hybrid. But what are the key differences that you see between crowdfunding and traditional fundraising, and maybe in your experience over the years as part of different nonprofits, and do you think there's ways to sort of leverage those differences for greater impact? Yeah.
So the second question is the differences between. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. The differences between traditional fundraising and crowdfunding, and the first question was
just key lessons learned in your effort, in your experience with Sustainable Williamson's crowdfunding.
Yeah, we've been going through a series of fish bowling with a lot of our supporters as well as contributors, and the hard thing for them to understand is what we had done by integrating the 6 components of sustainability and having that series launched every week. It was really hard for the viewer that was kind of participating in our campaign and following it over the 60-day campaign is really figuring out where their money was going. So if we were to re-strategize at this point, one, we would have taken a lot more time in the beginning to build in and have everything ready for when we launch it, to where we can be more agile during the campaign to meet those needs, which we didn't. And 2 is being more transparent about where the funding was actually going. So actually developing a budget. And that's kind of a bridge over into traditional fundraising and everything. Is 2 ways of traditional fundraising is 1, going off and developing events for raising funds, and 2 is building up funds with foundations. And that's one thing that I really like about the crowdfunding component, is it allows for, as William had mentioned earlier in relation to banks, the same thing goes with traditional foundations, is you can bypass that and go straight to the potential contributor themselves. But the hybrid component in bypassing that is we wanted to fundamentally link in those event components across the United States, but it provides that deadline. So when people want to contribute, it's not over a year-long process, but it's within that tight-knit 30 to 60-day campaign, however you tailor your campaign and everything, which is a strict distinction as well.
Great. Okay. Well, we are officially over time by a few minutes. So much rich information, and we have some more questions. If we didn't get to your question, we'll get you an answer offline. For those of you who are interested, we'll also be making sure to put up, the information of the panelists that are on today in terms of their websites and everything, so you can follow up, see what they're doing. I'll mention them one more time, and just by way of saying thank you to all of our incredible panelists today. Thank you so much for your time. Again, we invite you to come back and revisit this video. We'll edit it and make it tight and succinct, and you can see that at the website that you're currently on. I want to thank William from blackcrowdfunding.net. You can visit blackcrowdfunding.net to learn more about that, and check out his book, The Jobs Act, which we'll have a link to on the site. Ashara with Hub Oakland, come alive with .us. And you can check out everything they're doing, see all of the cool give backs they have there, and you should contribute because it's a powerful and incredible project. I encourage you to visit Eric Mathis with sustainablewilliamson.org, an incredibly innovative and powerful model. And you can see also a lot of what they did, which is just really great video stuff in support of their effort and in their larger effort as well, not just their crowdfunding effort. And finally, Zoe Toby, you can check out Zoe, both his music and his work as a coach at zoetoby.com. We'll have all that information on the site. Thank you to all of you, and most importantly, thank you to everyone who's joined us out there in cyberspace today. I hope it was really helpful. Again, if we didn't get to your question, please know that we'll provide you an answer offline. If you have questions, feel free to send those now, business@greenforall.org or hashtag GFA crowdfund. Also, if you have ideas for webinars that would be helpful in your work, this was a two-part series around crowdfunding, but we're really blessed and fortunate at Green for All to have a lot of incredible connections around the work of developing a green economy and otherwise. So if there's other issues or anything else that you'd like to do a webinar on, we're open to suggestions, so please send those to business@greenforall.org as well. And thank you very much, and goodbye.